Welcome to the Omega Files. I'm your host, Dr. Freedom, and tonight we've gathered to take a look at our 10th offering from Series 10, The Eaters of Light. It takes us to a damp, dark, and dismal place that could only be an alien planet, but no, it's Scotland. Okay, since we have so many people here tonight, I'm going to go ahead, and when I go ahead and call your name, just say, go right into your opening thoughts on this episode. All right, so this week we'll start up at the top. Let's start with Doctor Who Commentator. What are your opening thoughts on Eaters of Light?
Well, me, I've been saying on the Skype group, I've been struggling to know what to actually say about this episode, partly because I did like it. I don't know why, though. It's very confusing for me. I can't really think. As far as, well, where can you go? I certainly liked the monsters. I did like the fact that it was kind of done in a bit of a monster movie style. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, with most monster movies, you always start off not showing the whole monster. You have little bits and pieces, and then you build up to the big epic monster thing right there. I like that. I also liked the little gag. I want to say gag they did with the translation circuits, and they finally highlighted the fact that it does lip sync as well. Like, oh, thank God they finally put that in there. The only thing I'm massively annoyed about is because when we start seeing a new alien race or monsters or anything like that, I'd like to actually know more about them and their culture and everything else, and we don't really get that with them other than they're from another dimension. And a question about the portal level I even had at the end of there is, are there more portals on other planets, which means these things can actually go to other planets? Although, given that the episode ends with them pretty much being attacked constantly by lots of Scots and Romans, I suppose it doesn't really matter anymore because they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, very weird episode. Yeah, it's one of them ones that starts off as you have a bit of a real historical mystery being dealt with in it. And at the same time, like I said, you got these creatures, they're extra dimensionals, not exactly aliens, but at the same time, oh, that's right, trivia fact. The reason why you didn't see all the creature towards the beginning of the episode is because they couldn't get it to work. Nope, sorry, that was Jaws. All right, moving on. Philip.
Okay, I found this a very easygoing story to watch. It was a bit talky, quite a lot of talking going on, but that's fine because it was giving you some one-liners here and there from Nardo, and Capaldi was good in his explanation and giving the two cultures, the Picts and the Romans, the gumption to go and form an alliance together to fight this monster, which was a good kind of realization. The monster, I like the stringy bits to it. It kind of like a neo-disco-like thing for me. Once again, you had what's her name, Bill, falling down holes again. That girl needs to look where she's going sometimes. And I kind of like the parts where Missy was involved. That was quite nice. I still don't know whether the Doctor's aware that she's playing him for a fool. Is he one step ahead of her? But those parts with her was pretty cool. But the story itself, it was fine. It was one of those sit back and watch it and you don't have to think too hard about it. So that's basically it for me.
Okay, yeah. Let me see. Bill falling down holes. There is a lot of really nasty jokes I can make at this point. Okay, Sammy.
Hello. It was a cool episode, but I'm not really enthusiastic about it. Yeah, I have to watch it again, like always. Rebecca Benson was good. It's very well shot, very beautiful landscapes to see. Yeah, the story itself, it was a bit. I wasn't that very excited about it. So.
Okay. Not everybody's going to jump up and down and go mad over an episode. I get differing opinions. It happens. But yeah. By the way, I heard that that's a stunt Scotland. It doesn't actually look like that. But all right. Nah, I'm only kidding. All right, let's move on to AJ.
Hi there. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. The monsters, I thought, to me, they looked very Lovecraftian in the way they were, with the tentacles and how they just moved and slithered and lumbered. I also like the mystery of the Ninth Legion. I didn't know much about it, so I did a bit of research, and how they've gone to invade, Britain, Scotland, Ireland, and all that, trying to expand their empire, and they just disappeared, which was really cool. Well, not for them, unfortunately. Also, like how the the Picts were depicted, with their traditional face paint and their beliefs and their religion and all. To me, this felt more like a classic historical Doctor Who with a little monster thrown into it. I mean, I know the classic ones didn't have monsters in it normally, but still. Other than that, I thought it was a brilliant story. Capaldi was on form. Bill was on form. Nardole being mum again, which is good. Everyone just top notch, even Missy at the end. So yeah.
Don't make me use my squeaky voice. Okay, Beefhead.
Yes, I like this one. Hello, Beef here of Earth C-137. It was all about the D, really. Bill's not getting the D. You've got gay and bisexual Romans, all about the D. And then you've got the Romans on the battlefield having the D sucked out of them. Of course, I'm talking about vitamin D that you get from sunshine. Visually, it's carried on with what has been this episode, this season. Visually stunning, as computer-generated monster that looked really good. I like the tendrils. It made it really effective. You didn't have to see the whole thing, and it added suspense to it. I really enjoyed this. It was well structured. They arrived. You had the mystery. They're separated. You put them back together, work out what they're going to do, and then it's execution. It's 3 acts put together really, really well. I liked it. It had echoes of Flatline. For me, to be honest with you, but it was a case of Bill was figuring it out as she went along. There was no sort of dictatorial aspect to it, and that's why Bill is such a really well realized character. There were certain little nuances of Capaldi's. There's the bits about them all being kids and childlike and everything like that. You notice that when Capaldi talks to Carr, you often see sort of like crouching down, so he's like talking to a child as well. There's little subtle nuances to it. And the other thing that I did like about it as well was, and I think maybe this is why it's good that they sort of changed what I believe was the sort of way that the episodes were aired, that this was meant to be aired earlier, is that you had something similar, that you had something that was echoed on last episode. You had the idea of another force coming into the country, taking over it, to the idea of the sort of, the invading force. It's not necessarily the aliens, but it's the Romans. And you had, on both parties, it was the echoes of sort of desertion or cowardly. Carr abandoned her post to let the monster loose, so it was a dereliction of duty. The surviving Roman centurions, they abandoned and ran away cowardly from the battlefield. So there is redemption for them in the way that also that they went from being children to attaining maturity and understanding that there are responsibilities because they chose to take the aspect of sacrificing themselves to guard the gate, whereby the Doctor didn't have to do it. Nardole was great, completely funny and on point, and it was just really, really good. I found this is probably one of my favourite ones I think so far of the season. It was just really a good package overall, and I think that's why it was just so solid. There wasn't anything that I think that was too much talky. Talky is good, and it was balanced really well. So yeah, a really, really strong episode, man.
Alrighty, let's move on over to Matt Rose.
Oh, hello. Firstly, welcome back to Rona Munro. It was a very good welcome back to her to the series since she last left off. And personally for me, I found the character development between the Doctor and Nardole very good in this story. Sure, he broke off from Bill in it, but you could just tell since the last time they've both been on screen together, that banter and the funny humour is still there. The one thing that was just getting on my nerves at the start of this story was Nardole in the orange dressing gown. I'm like, that's very random for this episode. But Eaters of Light just had the strongest monster that I just loved it every time the lights came on. This monster just started eating all the people, hence the title. But I thought it was brilliant in beautiful Aberdeen. But I just found it so disappointing this episode did not have an appearance of Graham McLaughlin in it. That's my only gripe with the story. But no, it's been wonderful this season. And I also did like Bill was getting hit on by the bloke who told Han Solo he's a dead man in The Force Awakens. The bloke is a tell it to Ganja Club. I love that. I love that. And at the end of Missy, her whole fake goody routine. It's one more episode to go. I know one more until the two-parter starts, but it's just going to be very sad because I realised from after next week, this is the build-up to the end. But Eaters of Light has been very strong, and Bill gets so much hits on and the number one song with all these people. How many times does she have to tell them, I don't go for you, I bat for the other side of the playing field? But I found it brilliant, and Rona started the story very well.
Alrighty. Okay, let's move on to AJ. Or sorry, I went to the wrong side of the screen. Sorry, AJ, you were on. Let's go to Connor.
Yeah, Eaters of Light was great. Last 2 weeks were a bit flat, I think, for me. But this really put Series 10 back on track. As has already been said, it looks visually spectacular. Charles Palmer made really good use of the landscape with his directing. And my highest praises have to go to Murray Gold for a scintillating soundtrack that even in the dullest moments of the episode just lifted everything up. It was a brilliant soundtrack, probably one of his best yet, to be honest. The TARDIS team were on top form. One thing I did like about this episode, which we don't usually get actually, is after what could be perceived the end of the adventure, when the Romans and the farmers, whatever you want to call them, go into that portal, you sort of get a reflection with, even though Missy normally dominates that scene, that 5-minute scene, you get a chance to reflect on what's just happened. And you don't usually get that at the end of an episode, so that was a nice addition. Yeah, it was beautifully written by Rona Munro. The Car, I think her name was a good character. Probably the only one that really got a bit of fleshing out, I think. And I like how they made the cast, even though not in appearance, relatively young, where they were all playing like 16 to 18-year-olds. So there was, as Beef had already said, that sense of responsibility and maturity around their characters developing. Michelle Gomez, as I said, was on top form again. She's really making you want to miss her this series, I think. She's played it brilliantly throughout. Yeah, great episode.
Alrighty. Okay, Vil.
Hey, sorry, I had to turn off my mute there. Well, the first thing I'd have to say is that, other than the fact that I really did like this episode, I felt like it was Doctor Who meets Dungeons and Dragons for a bit there. It was a lot of fun. And I think that the moral of our story is when you have a nigh undefeatable dangerous monster slathering around and eating people, feeding on the very light from within their bodies, all that you really need to do is tell the Scots that they can smoke the claws and distill the blood into beer, and then it's curtains for the beastie.
Okay, William.
Hey, now, how you doing, everybody? This was a great episode. I'm shocked that the writer has not been used in other seasons of Doctor Who since it returned in 2005. So I got to give a shout out to her for a great story that she wrote. Bill stood out right here because even though she little gag that we did that she fell in the hole like that, I really remember that she went on her own looking for the Legion, and she found what remained of the main Legion, and us who remember history knew about the disappearance of this Legion. So it was unusual that how many was what little remained of it. Even though one of them in a good shout out to Planet of the Apes was named Cornelius, which was pretty funny there. You got to give Nardo props also because he explained to the doctor that even though there was only a few seconds, 2 days passed, and I was shocked about that too. The 2 days passed like that. I said, "Wow!" I said, that was a scary thing." And the creatures, I consider them like a parasite because the way they kept attacking the people and leaving their body the way it was, man, it was, it felt like a a parasite, because the way, and then when the doctor was explaining that these were eat stars and destroy all the other stars in the space, that made it a very scary thing. So luckily, at the end, the creature was back in his door where it belonged, like that. Also, you got to give the way the direction and the cinematography was used in this episode. It looked real beautiful. Even though Scotland doesn't look like that these days, at least in the past it had a little bit of beauty into it. The what was weird was the crows, the way they kept talking, and you could say that was a really funny thing, which was a little unusual. So it was a good little add-on to the story, like that. Yeah, because they were going to mention it, how even though the situation was solved pretty before you could say the episode ended, we saw the crew return to the TARDIS, and there was Missy right there sitting and waiting for them, because she couldn't get out of the TARDIS. She was locked in. So that was an unusual situation. Yeah, maybe later on we will mention about the trailer for next week. But right now for this story, it was an excellent story, and I got to give a shout out to the writer, man. I hope she comes back and write another story. It really stood out. Yeah, like Beef said, it's one of the favorite ones from this season for me.
Alrighty, okay, Graham. Yeah, this is your native land. What did you think?
That's my native land, but no, that sector. Welcome to Aberdeen via Wales. Good stuff here by Rona Munro, I've got to admit. Matt Lucas is on point again with his comedic timing, with all the Scotland jokes. Death by Scotland, welcome to our land. I'm the only one who knows where the tea cakes are. Bang on point with his jokes all the way through this thing. Capaldi is as awesome as ever. The young leader of the Pygmies, Kiara, or Car. She was good. As I agree with Connor, she was probably the only one with a wee bit of meat added to her bone in terms of fleshing out her characterisation. The creature was visually great for CGI. It was quite good. I really enjoyed that. Murray Gold's soundtrack was phenomenal. I'm going to be ripping that and adding some of these tracks to my phone if I have my way, legally, of course. You have the concept of the Roman army. Interesting that they swung both ways in that time period as well. But hey ho, equal opportunity arises as you go. But all in all, I really enjoyed this. The comedy was good. Michelle Gomez chewed the bloody scenery, and she is making you want to miss her. It's a double kick in the nutsack that Capaldi's leaving, but now Gomez is leaving as well for me. But that's the BBC for you. Ah well, I'm going to enjoy these last two.
Okay, Frank.
All right, I think I've unmuted. Hi, everyone. This is really good. It was nice to see Rona Munro back after such a long time. And I think she's delivered a good script there, actually. I really enjoyed this one, like everyone's been saying. It was just, as opposed to like the trilogy we just had, not that long ago. Obviously, this one was much more of a straightforward story. It was easy to follow. It was like a just enjoyable adventure, really, like the classic series in many ways. And I liked the crows. I thought that was an interesting, concept that they're giving warnings out. Doctor, Master, and things like that. It was saying, to Nardole. So it's kind of like a foreshadowing of what's coming next. And the conversation with Bill and the Romans about the sexual preferences, I thought was handled really well. And that was really good. And it was nice to see Missy in the scene at the end. Quite a long scene too. Considering she's just for a couple of times was just popping up briefly. And it was nice to see them both together. Her and Capaldi sort of chatting, and you could see like the relationship there a bit more than normal. How they had a kind of a respect of some kind with each other. And I think I won't go into the trailer too much. We'll talk about it later. But it seems to me, from what I've seen in the trailer, that it looks like Michelle Gomez has got an awful lot to do in this next story. So I think because there was loads of clips, and I imagine that she's going to be a big part of it. So that's going to be good. So all in all, yeah, I thought this was really good. It was a nice traditional story. It zipped along very quickly, and I'm all geared up for next week. I can't wait.
All righty. Okay, Bo.
Yeah, quite like this episode. It was really great. I like Nardole. I thought he was really funny, and I like that the Doctor was able to convince the two opposing sides to join forces to help defeat the monster. I like that they sacrificed themselves to close the portal. And as for Missy, she can cry and sob all she likes. I think they're just crocodile tears as far as I'm concerned. I think she's evil through and through, and I'm looking forward to the 2-part final. I think it'll be great.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to Alex and Susan.
Okay. Sorry, guys, we had to switch over to another computer. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So, yes, I know that this was the return of the woman that wrote the last classic TV show, Survivor, Survival. It was okay. I did like the dialogue a lot in this episode, and as far as the monster or the story, it didn't really impress me. I enjoyed the characters and I enjoyed the dialogue, and I guess I'll have to watch it again, but the story really wasn't that interesting to me.
So you, yeah, Alex had mentioned filler and stuff. I was impressed by it. I thought that it was really cool that they used some old school picked mythology and stuff, and they also talked about some our main characters were all like super shiny in it. I really thought that Bill had a great rapport with the Roman soldiers, and I really thought that Missy blew my mind when she started crying. Oh my gosh, it was like, hello. And Nardole, I gotta tell you, he fit in really well with the pics. I mean, I loved his tattoo. I didn't put it on, but I'm dressed for Nardole because Nardole is awesome. And for real, it was great. It was, yeah. So I disagree with you, Alex, but here we go.
Okay, Texas Tim.
What strikes me the most about this episode is that it's almost like a complete diagram of classic Doctor Who. I mean, it's got the educational aspect, it's got the historical bit going on. They've thrown in monster as well, so it's really cool. I mean, that's not the first time this series that we've had something that gives you the feels for the classic series. You know what I mean? It's like they're structuring it that way on purpose. It was a cool story. I mean, it was really well done. If anything, I would think that it might have been a little too short, because the idea that they just show up and then the Doctor just says, "Yeah, go find your Legion, Bill." You know, that seems a bit unrealistic, because what's she going to do when she finds them? You know what I mean? It's like, I know, but see, since they have to telegraph this story in 42 minutes or whatever, then you have to have it move, you know. So it has to just be like, because it makes no sense. Why would the Doctor just let her run off like that on her own? I mean, because obviously either way she's gonna get in trouble. But I like the aspect that they're trying to settle an argument. So he's gonna say, "Well, I'll show you." So they go to the actual time and get on with the business, and it's just. But yeah, one thing that strikes me too is that this TARDIS team, I really love them. I think this is an accidentally great team that they've constructed here, and it's just a pity that we're not going to have them around for much longer, including the Master. And I mean, man, if the Doctor's that foolish that those crocodile tears are going to work on him from Missy, I don't know. I just don't see that. I mean, he's got to know that she's pulling his leg.
Well, well, sorry to interrupt. To be fair, did you see him in that scene? He stepped away quicker than snow off a dike.
Yeah, that's the problem with hope. It's so hard to let go of. Yeah, he so desperately wants to believe that, you know, she's going to turn over a new leaf, but at the same time, I don't think he's actually fooled by it. You can see he's trying to keep, you know, a distance, you know, at the same time. He so wants his friend to snap out of this whole evil thing and go back to when they were, you know, way younger and, you know, everything was great. But, you know, I just don't see it happening. I really think it's all a ruse because, you know, the Master is just, you know, one of them characters I don't see getting past the rehabilitation program. Okay, I don't see it happening. You know, it's kind of like even if you stuck her in murder rehab like they did Captain John Hart, I don't think it's going to work. You know, it's like put it to you this way: the Master has about the same chance of coming back and rehabilitating as Lindsay Lohan has of making it through a whole rehab session. Okay, it's not going to happen. Okay. So let's open up the floor. Yeah. So we're in Scotland. I loved all the inside Scottish jokes. That really right there got me laughing my head off. Okay. First hand goes up. Let's go to AJ.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I was thinking about it. Maybe Missy isn't like faking it. Maybe she's like menopausal. It's just, you know, flipping between good, evil, good, evil.
The Time Lord's menopausal. I don't know. Do they have that problem?
That's a different type of cycle.
So yeah, I thought I'd mention that. Sorry to any women who hear that.
Okay, Philip.
Do you know how you just mentioned about Missy, right? Think about how the Doctor is. Each Doctor that we know of have different types of personality. Maybe Missy is the sort of Master that can be good, whereas the Sin Master that we're going to run into, he's thoroughly evil. So maybe Missy can be turned. That's what I'm looking at. She's a different personality to Sim. That could
You're
be
gullible, Phil.
At the end of the day, it's always the same character. Just because she's pretty now and cute and makes funny noises doesn't mean that she's not evil.
Plus, we kind of eliminate the whole concept of the Master.
Yeah, but I think if they both meet together, I reckon there'll be some contrast. There could be some conflicting morals, something.
I do reckon she will sort of like protect the Doctor from her other self, as and when we meet up with him. So she might have some redeeming qualities coming up later.
But well, hold on, would the Doctor do that? I'm pretty sure several Doctors aren't really happy with Seven's attitude towards things, but there you go. They never bump into him and say, hey, stop doing that.
Bad Doctor.
Okay, William.
The thing about the Missy that I noticed, I don't know if this is true or not, when everybody walked in the TARDIS, was she reading the Doctor's 1,000-year-old diary?
No idea.
I didn't pay any attention to what she was.
I didn't spot that.
I thought she was reading that. And this was funny. How Bill realized that the TARDIS is translating every language that she's been, and she wasn't aware of it, or did the Doctor ever bother to explain to her how it's being done?
Know by now. But
yeah, but
wasn't this supposed to be earlier in the series, and they transposed it with another one or something? This episode?
Nah, but just last week.
Yeah, they just swapped 9 and 10 around.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting because in this episode, the Doctor did actually mention, "How do you think we escaped from Mars?" or something like that, right at the end of it.
You can add that in later.
Yeah,
I know, but still.
Okay, Beef.
I think we can talk about the Missy thing for ages. I do think to look at it from a different aspect, whether it's real, valid or not. But the fact is that you had that sort of "Are you all right?" reaction last week to the crying thing this week as well. It does make it seem more believable. You as the viewer want to think that perhaps there is a chance of redemption. I mean, if you think back to Death in Heaven, everything that she did for him there was, she said, it's because I'm your friend as well. So you go back to this idea of friendship that's actually run all the way through Missy's characterization, even back to when we first meet her, going back then.
Are you saying they're trying to redeem the character?
No, I think it's trying to instill a fake faith in the viewer. And the idea of perhaps there is some way that they can still be friends, not frenemies, but friends. But of course, it's never going to be like that.
The Doctor should be wiser.
Also, well, we did have one aspect, because if we flash back all the way back to the End of Time Part 2, the Master did step in and start, pounding the hell out of Rassilon, to get the, So in a way, they were kind of like fulfilling that, as if, Roger Delgado had lived.
Final game.
Yeah, they were going to end, with the final game where he was going to give his life to save the Doctors. And I kind of think maybe they're playing on that in the modern era a little bit. And they're kind of like bringing that to the surface, the fact that these two started out as friends, but somewhere along the line, something happened where one went in one direction and one went way off in left field. We're talking so far in left field, I don't think you can see them anymore. I think they're in the cornfield. But, that's what I think they're trying to get. Okay, Connor.
I sort of do feel like he's under a spell a bit, because to trust her to fix the TARDIS is a bit unwise, because it's his greatest asset. It's what gets him from point A to point B often. And if she hijacks that and she uses that against him, then what has he got left? It's really quite a strange situation.
To be fair, Connor, she can hijack it all she wants. If she can't step outside it, what's the point?
Also, remember the last time the Master worked on the TARDIS? Let's flash all the way back to like Last of the Time Lords. He turned it into a frickin' paradox machine. Okay, AJ.
So go on.
I was just going to say, I could see what you're talking about. They're polarizing the Doctor and the Master. They've been doing that for ages now. They've even been doing it in Big Finish, where there's that story with the Seventh Doctor talking about a friend of his, how when they were children and one of them had killed someone, and then, one went one direction, one went the other. It turns out the Doctor had killed that person. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying, like, they're both got their own aspects, but they're mirror images of each other as well. So that it's, he could end up turning bad for an episode or two, where she might turn good, trying to redeem him, and vice versa. So I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, for you folks out there, he's referring to the Big Finish Audio Master. They go into that a little bit in there. Yeah. Okay, Texas Tim.
Well, in regard to what Connor was saying as well, that it doesn't seem like he was just a bit too eager to like sacrifice himself because he could do it in that situation when those people ready to take their own destiny at hand, and he was just like, no, I've got to do it. And somebody has to bop him over the head just to tell him to shut up for a minute, so they can go do their duty or whatever. I mean, why is he so eager to end himself? That's I didn't really get that about it. Why was he so eager just to, okay, well, don't worry, the TARDIS will take you home. I'm going to go do this because it's my job.
I think it was more to do with the fact that he didn't think any of the humans would basically live long enough once they're in that dimension. I didn't quite get it either, but basically he thought his lifespan would have been longer enough.
But it just seems out of character that he's so eager to end his own existence, in that sense. I don't
think it was an eagerness to end his own existence more than it was just simply a sense of duty to protect to protect Earth more than anything else.
Yeah. Okay, Graham.
Now, while we're on the subject of the Doctor, I kind of get Tim's point there. Maybe there'll be more explained in that in these last two parts, especially with the build up to Christmas. But it wouldn't just matter. Look at showing his comedic muscles in this. There was even a couple of lines by Capaldi in this where I found myself chuckling. The bit he's confronting Card and the Pickneys and their wee den, You're the warrior we've all been waiting on. What did you do? Throw your action figure at them? Just,
she's an embryo.
Just some good one-liners for Capaldi in this week's episode as well, I thought. Good stuff.
Okay, Beef.
One other thing I think that we've neglected to mention as well, that it's something that's sort of been slightly out of kilt with the episode, but actually it works really well with it, is that you've got this little clip of modern day. You've got the two kids going up the hill, and you go back to them at the end, and it's sort of you have the mystery, you have the myth of the Ninth Legion, but they have this other sort of myth that there's ghosts inside the hill, and it sort of passes into sort of legend, fable, and everything like that. So there's a really nice sort of like into it, and a really nice sewing up to it. I just think that's a really, really, really good touch that I don't think many writers of the newer era have necessarily employed, which has been what was so refreshing to have her come in and do something like that.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
Well,
It's
one at a
interesting you
time.
say that because when I I've completely forgot to mention that in my opening. I actually thought that was just completely unnecessary. I thought it didn't really give anything to it.
No, I think it's a framing device, so that you can have a beginning and an end that is removed from the story. That's what you're trying to say, Beef, right? That it's just it's to show you the effect of the story on.
Yeah,
modern day.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's it.
modern day.
It's a legend. It's a, as much as the disappearance of the Ninth Legion is, it's a myth. It's a legend. The idea of that there's something inside the hill and everything like that it's been passed down through the generations in the same way as that, the crows making the noise. It's like passing down of history through a verbal medium.
And the kids hear the music,
Yeah, that's it. It's the idea of myth and mythos and legend and way fable. Fact becomes legend, myth, fable. So it's quite clever.
Song, yeah.
Okay, Susan and Alex.
Obviously I caught that as well. As far as the Master, I mean, we've heard all sorts of different theories based on, whichever doctors are around versus the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 10th, and now 12th, and now Matt Smith, we didn't have any we didn't have any television interaction as far as the 11th Doctor went. But yeah, again, it's to build up suspense, and we'll probably have a little bit of everything. We'll probably have a little bit of Delgado, a little bit of Sim, and the Missy Master, and that's next week and the week after next. Susan?
Yeah, I liked the fact that the Master is being freed from the vault, and I don't care that it's breaking all the rules for Nardal. I think that's just kind of a whatever sort of thing, but I like the fact that she's in the TARDIS, and I'm curious where her TARDIS is. I mean, unless they never gave her one, or unless she never stole one over in Gallifrey during the Time War or whatever.
Okay, Vil, gotta unmute yourself.
You were saying earlier, you had said that it was like there was this big dynamic shift, and my guess is that you were assuming it was the Master that went off the deep end. But what if they were both kind of an evil streak, and it was the Doctor that went off the deep end, and the Master's just been trying to bring him back to his senses this whole time?
Okay.
It makes so much sense.
Oh, I can see that where it's kind of a reverse thing, yeah. Okay, Philip.
I just wanted to bring the vault up. I think it's become a moot point now, because now that Missy's out of it and they're going to go on further adventures, what's the point of it now? And it had a kind of what's the word? It had an importance throughout the season. Now it just seems to be just tucked to the background. She's out gallivanting with the team. It's becoming.
I agree with you. I think that was a weakness in this one, that they're both companions are saying, yeah, you need to be over there watching the vault, Doctor. What the F? And it's like 5 episodes ago. That's not even a thing anymore. So why do they keep bringing it up?
Okay, AJ.
Yeah, I was going to say before there was a discussion about the Doctor sacrificing himself. He's had a really long history of trying to sacrifice himself to save anyone and everyone around him, and the people he's trying to save usually step forward and go, no, this is my chance to shine. I'm going to be the one who's going to sacrifice myself to become the hero that I want to be. You just stand aside, sort of thing, it's back all the way almost to the first Doctor when you really think about it, of people sacrificing themselves so that the old wandering man doesn't have to do it for himself.
Okay, Graham?
Interesting point there, AJ. I never really thought about it that way. Popcorn. I must complain about the ungodly use of popcorn in this episode. I like popcorn, and they were sacrifices so they could scarper. For shame.
At least it wasn't Jelly Babies.
Well, Jello babies don't pop when you throw them in a fire, do they?
Yeah.
No, they would.
Oh yeah, I love the way he played him with that. It's like, yeah, now would you all mind just, jumping out of your shorts and while we all, me and Nard all escape? That was a good one there too. Like I said, that's what I loved about this episode. It had a good tempo to it. It wasn't too fast, wasn't too slow. It just moved right along. All right, Connor.
One thing I like about this series, as the Vault has been mentioned, is that there's not really a very clear story arc. It seems like it's a bit more free to tell the story week on week. You've got could perceive it as being the Vault, or you could perceive it as being like Missy's redemption. And they're just like 5-minute scenes, like right at the end of the episode, or right at the beginning, and that's it. And you've got the rest of the time to tell whatever story you need to be told. So I like how it's a bit more free, this series, compared to others. Like in series 3 with the Saxon one, which is quite ironic considering John Sims coming back, it was a bit more heavy. You had the references everywhere with the posters and everything, and Bad Wolf as well and stuff. So it just feels a bit more free this time around, I think.
Yeah, and he just happens to be a Saxon. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Okay, Vil.
Yeah, the other thing, I just kind of really want to repeat the conclusion I had from last week. It's only one of two things. One, what pretty much most of us are thinking, this is a ruse. But the other possibility, and I'm thinking about a couple of different things here, is that maybe it's not a ruse. You have Michelle Gomez basically saying that she's leaving the role. And like Dr. Freedom brought up earlier, going way back, Mr. Peabody, before Roger Delgado died, his version of the Master was going to sacrifice himself. Something tells me that she's going to prove herself, if it goes this way. She's going to end up proving herself by sacrificing herself and dying at the Master's hands. And then, of course, who knows what we get with the regeneration, because I don't think that they're going to completely end that character.
But hold on. What advantage would either incarnation of the Master have in killing one of his other selves? If it's before him, he'll immediately disappear. If it's after him, it's not a good thing either. So,
if they went that way, I don't think that the Master would be intending to off himself. I don't think it would be part of his plan. If they went that way, it would either be because they want to write her out that way, but then we'll see the next incarnation go evil again, or it would be because she's got a greater scheme going on and it's just all a big part of her plan to fool the Doctor. I could see her going that far with it.
It's every master for themselves. AJ!
Yeah, I did a little research after the episode about the realm where those monsters came from. The closest I could come to was a Celtic thing, which says here, normal rules do not apply in the other world. A year may seem to pass in the other world, but in the real world, centuries may have passed. Time seems to stand still, nor do people who live their age like mortals. They remain young forever. The other world also seems to be able to move from one location to another, or may be one world. Sorry, screwed that up. It seems to exist everywhere in one world. The other world is a paradox. Entering the enchanted place may be close by, or it may be a faraway place. So I thought maybe that was, they've taken little bits of different religions and whatnot and sort of put them into this story to explain the monsters and when they came from.
Okay.
Sounds a bit like Twin Peaks.
A little, yeah.
All right, Philip.
I was a bit surprised that the TARDIS team weren't aware that Missy was on board the TARDIS, because you would have thought they remembered have taken her back to the boat when they haven't actually done that. So I was a bit confused by that.
They did there.
She did say, should have I remained below decks?
Yeah, I know that, but wouldn't they sussed it out that they never gone back to the vault to put her in there in the first place?
They did.
Yeah, you see, this one though wasn't like some of the others where the last episode led right in.
Okay.
We're literally starting where they appear in Scotland. We'd have no idea what happened after what they went back to Earth. We're assuming because Bill's obviously changed clothes and all that. Now they've got this thing going on between her and the Doctor about what happened to the Ninth Legion. So obvious, a little bit of time passed between this episode and the last one.
Okay.
They probably all gone to the restroom. At least one.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Philip. It'll be so when Capaldi jumps to Big Finish. That'll be explained.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There's a short trip right there.
Okay, Graham.
No, I just taking AJ up on his point with regards to his explanation with all the realms and the Celtic stones and whatnot. It's nice to see that Aberdeen is now renowned for something else besides sheep.
There was no sheep. I'm quite surprised by that.
You're talking about Wales there, aren't you? Not.
Well, that's what they call two for one deal. Yeah.
The leisure centre in Wales.
Yeah. Codename How Dolly.
I don't know. Graham does say time seems to pass more slowly in Scotland. Okay.
Finish out last call.
No, explain why his head on growing back.
Okay. Any other aspect of this episode anyone want to discuss?
Well, I'm glad that when they showed the next time trailer, we only saw the Cyberman for just a quick clip. But I'd rather see the episode and be surprised what they do and say like that. So, showing them they're there, but not having them do anything or say anything was pretty good. I'm waiting for next week to see it.
The other thing right at the beginning, when they arrived, or at the beginning where the children were going up the hill with the like mini Stonehenge thing and the rocks and stuff. Just for a brief moment, I thought that some of those rocks might have been the Ogre, but just for a brief moment, I thought they were going to glow.
Actually, that's almost the same as it was in Stones of Blood. You had the ravens or the crows, but they're crows, weren't they? And
don't say ravens.
No, it's not ravens.
It's a throwback to give you the feels of the Stones of Blood, basically.
Yeah. Until I saw like the sign, like the drawings on it, then I thought, no, I don't think it.
I was for a little second. A bit worried that Nardole might have boinked the Doctor and not actually quite realised, because when he said he was a second level Vestal Virgin, Nardole sort of did a double take that he might have actually been up to some nefarious deeds in times gone by on his travels. So yeah.
Well,
yeah. He must have had some sexual exploits that we just don't know about.
Well, Missy did proclaim they were naughty.
Yep.
Well, Torchwood is a spin-off.
Yeah, I lived in Rome. I governed in Rome. I was like, I got a kick out of that.
I'm amazed that Bill didn't actually understand that the Romans would understand her sexuality completely, because the Romans, they would boink anything that had a heartbeat and two legs.
Just pure debauchery, wasn't it?
Yeah. That bit I was not surprised about, because the Romans were pretty, easy,
open-minded.
Yeah, they're very open-minded on the subject of sex, and so they had no hang-ups. In other words. Ugh.
Also, every time that she sort of like tried to explain it to a fella and been rebuffed, it's a case of she hasn't got the reaction she was expecting. It's yeah, so what, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Had the same thing in Knock Knock and had the same thing in this. Do you know what I mean? And maybe it's time to give up them sort of things, because you don't actually need it now. That point's already been dealt with.
No, it's pretty much a running joke that's just lost its theme, isn't it?
You know what? I can let it go in this episode because of the fact that the cultural differences. Had it been modern day again.
You got it, Elsa.
Oh, shut up.
Okay, since somebody brought up the next time trailer, let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. Yeah, it was nice that we finally have seen the top knots on screen, and just from that little tiny bit we've seen of them, God, they're creepy as hell, aren't
they? Yeah.
But what's interesting is, again, we're judging from a trailer alone here, but so maybe I'm going to be completely wrong on this, but it seems like the Cybermen aren't going to be the main focus of the individual episode, at least.
At least not this one. The one coming up, I mean. I think what it is that's leading into the finale.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
And
Connor. Oh, sorry.
A little nitpick about that.
Go ahead.
A little nitpick about that trailer is when he called them Mondasian Cybermen. That's not their name. They're just Cybermen. I don't see why he had to do that.
Because let me explain this for the 55th time. I've had to tell I don't know how many people this in email. Those particular type of Cybermen were clearly from Mondas. Remember, Mondas was wiped out. It was blown up, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, you're not going to see that type of Cyberman again, from what we know. Because all the ones we've seen since then have come from Telos or one of the other planets that they've stuck, big fat coolers in and hid in for God knows how long.
That's right.
That's why you can actually say those are Mondasian Cybermen, because those are the original ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So that's why they're calling them Mondasian. Okay, Susan and Alex. I got to unmute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we raised our hand. Yeah, I mean, I like the next time trailer. I really think that it's going to be very interesting the next 2 episodes, possibly having 2 masters in them, possibly.
Yep, me too. I agree.
And it is good to have the Cybermen back. Although hopefully next year they'll either have newer villains or they'll bring back other villains that haven't been seen 20 times in a row.
Well, that'll fall under the Chibs helm. We'll have to talk about that later on as we get more on it. Okay, Texas Tim.
Well, in regards to your explanation about the Mondasian Cybermen, it's just a way for them to tell the audience who've never seen these guys, if they haven't watched the 10th Planet, that these are the Cybermen. Because the newer audience is not going to know what they look like because they've never seen them before. As you know, the 10th Planet is available on DVD, but it's incomplete with animation. So it's, yeah, there you go, AJ. But my point is that, yeah, it may sound clumsy to somebody that knows Doctor Who, lives Doctor Who like we do, but I mean, as far as the episode, it might be a clumsy way of telling the audience these are different Cybermen than you're used to.
Yeah,
I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah, these are the guys from the home neighborhood. Okay, Graham.
Yeah.
Interesting take on with that trailer. It really whets your appetite for next week. Michelle Gomez front and centre. We have disposables. The Doctor in the TARDIS, a la Flatline. Okay, let's just call it what it is. It's Missy Who.
How dare you?
You forgot one thing, Graham. Also, Missy dabbing.
No, yeah, Missy dabbing Who. Yeah.
I basically just had a bit of wee come out, and that was it.
I noticed your tweet to Rachel Taylor. Yeah.
Okay, Bo.
Yes, if Mondas is blown up, then where did these Mondasian Cybermen come from?
That's going to be the big question. I think they're going to address that next week.
It could be. Oh, sorry.
No, go on ahead.
I was going to say maybe it's something before Mondas tried to invade Earth back in the 10th Planet, which was during 1986. So it
that
could
is
be
something I've been.
Sorry.
I
was just going to say it could be
that,
before that.
That is something I've been thinking about. Even before this series started, I even decided to watch a few Cyberman episodes just to remind myself of their timeline and everything, and the whole thing that episode, the 10th Planet episode, took place in 1986. I thought, oh, are they going to go back in time to 1986?
Or it could be, because from what we've been told about this upcoming episode, we're dealing with this huge, massive vessel that's caught basically on the event horizon or going into one of a black hole. And what it is what we're being told is time is not only flowing separately, but you're basically going to wind up with almost different eras on board this ship. So that could explain where they came from. Okay, Philip.
Well, in regards to that ship itself, it could be a Cyberman, what do you call it? A spare parts shop ship, basically, just traveling in the universe from maybe Telos or Mondas. Because as we know from further on in the stories as they play out, we're going to have more than one version of the Cyberman. So, so basically the Cyberman factory ship.
It's a chop shop.
Yeah.
Because that is something that's never been addressed, because we do know the Cybermen had to have had, or Mondasians must have had space travel, because that's the only way you can explain how they had the tombs on Telos and other worlds, how the hell they got out of just being wiped out with one big blow. Okay, Vil.
Yeah, I was going to say another possibility is that they're going to be going back in time on Manda somewhere in the storyline. And if this black hole is connected to time, maybe it puts them there.
Yeah, that's right. Shake your head, Mr. No Spoilers, Philip. Yeah.
Somebody's been on Gallifrey base again.
Well, it's not only at Dr.
No.
Magazine gave away quite a lot.
Oh, that as well. Okay. Well,
No, I didn't even know Gallifrey base was still around.
Yeah, it is.
that's still a thing and still a fellowship.
It will never go away.
Yeah.
Like Krista B.
It's
Well,
like
did I just repeat something I'm saying?
It's like that ketchup stain on your shirt that you can never wash out, really.
Yeah.
It's just okay, Susan
Oh,
and Alex.
it's not ketchup.
Well, all right. Susan and Alex.
Well, unless the people that are watching this podcast, unless they go back and look at the designs of the Cybermen, when the 80s and up until 2008, maybe, they looked very much like the RoboCop from the first movie of RoboCop in 1987. And then they started changing the design again. So I guess they're going back to the 1960s version of the Cybermen. So
There's been three
unless they're
different
diehard fans, then they can look up the Cybermen and see how they changed the designs and the bodywork from the 60s up to now.
Google it.
Google is your friend.
Okay, Texas Tim.
No, if I could just say, only the Doctor's timeline is the one that you have a perfect run of, the one that you know, because it starts with one Doctor and ends with another after all these stories. But all the other timelines for different characters, like the Master, the Cybermen, the Daleks, you don't really know where it is on theirs sometimes. So you really can't look at their timelines as linear compared to his.
Yeah,
because it's a show about time travel. He's always bouncing around and going everywhere. So when he meets them, it might be at a different point than the time he last saw them. People tend to forget that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Vil.
Yeah, one thing I've been kind of wondering, you were saying that it looked like RoboCop, and what I had going through my head at that was, thank you for your upgrade.
Okay, AJ.
Yeah, with the Cybermen, there's been about 4 different iterations. You've got the ones with the ski mask face and the hands that are human. You've got the ones that have hands that have got 3 fingers. Then you've got the 2006 version, and then you've got the upgraded version, which looks like Iron Man. There's 4 different iterations.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there isn't that many different iterations.
Well,
The only one...
There's 5 iterations, not
4.
5.
Oh, 4. Somebody's
There's
bitchy,
the
Philip.
Mombasian ones, there's the moon-based ones, there's the invasion ones, there's the Tomb of the there's Revenge of the Cybermen ones, there's Earthshock ones.
Exactly.
If you take a look at all the classic series episodes, there's always a slight difference in the costume of each adventure.
Variations.
Mainly.
Sorry.
One at a time.
Sorry to interrupt. No, when I say RoboCop, it was like the 80s and the 87 version, and when I showed it to people that aren't fans, they said, oh, that looks like RoboCop.
The ones that remind me most of RoboCop were the Cybus ones, when it started from that, the Cybus industry ones. They had that kind of feel more about, the way, that kind of shape.
Yeah. Okay, Graham.
No, look, Brian's already said that there's no point in us sitting here and trying to give you a blow-by-blow account of the designs of every Cyberman. Google it. Google is your friend, and it'll do the job. But as for next week, free word. Give us a kiss.
Yeah, because there's plenty of sites out there running around that have actually chronicled all the different types and whatnot. All you got to do is just look them up. Okay, Vil.
Less forwards.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say just got covered, but then Graham threw something else out there. It was something I was considering earlier. That line, "Give us a kiss." I want to bet that that's going to be a snarky remark when the when the Master sees the Doctor with Missy and knows exactly who she is.
That was just this year's version of "Did You Miss Me?"
I was going to say that earlier. I was going to say that.
We've gone from "you will obey me" to give me a kiss and say something nice and
hello you.
Yeah, hello you. The master has a charm, all his or her own. Okay, so anything else before we move on?
Just quickly, am I the only one who feels that McQueen and Sim would get on swimmingly?
If they don't try to kill each other.
That's what I mean.
Send an email. Send an email to Big Finish.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, Vil.
Yeah, just once I want to see Missy or some incarnation basically override a Dalek's machinery and tell it, "I am the master and you will obey me."
That would be actually cool, if the master could hypnotize a Dalek. That would be really freaking awesome, I obey. Okay, Philip.
It'll be interesting to see when Sim's master sees Missy for the first time and says, "What the fire truck? When did I become a woman?" Because if she's arguing, he's not going to be aware of that.
No, remember, Phil, we're not aware of before Delgado if the master have ever been a woman before that. Because if you remember in the Witch's Familiar, she mentioned how the doctor gave her a brooch after she had a daughter. So you got to remember that. Was she a woman or a man when that happened? We don't know. But in my opinion, it had to be a woman because a guy when I give a guy a brooch.
Well, what if the guy was kind of camp?
Exactly.
Eric Roberts.
Yeah, we got to remember the master's timeline is very open because, first he was Delgado, and then later on we saw him again, and that was in Deadly Assassin, and then we only learn, okay, this particular burnt-up crispy master who looks like he just got pulled out of a KFC fryer is the last incarnation. Therefore, he's in desperate measures mode to try to, get, another set of bodies and or somehow stay alive. Then, of course, revisit him and keep her trucking, and it's, a slightly less crispy master, but still, it's the same one. It's the last incarnation. So how many, incarnations could have been female before Beavers and, what's his name? Pratt, the fellow in Deadly Assassin?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Peter Pratt, yeah.
You get the right cross, but it could be the 4B.
One at a time, guys.
No, I'm saying him and Beavers are the same one. They just played by different actors.
Yeah. Beavers didn't want to wear the mask because he felt he could not really portray a character, wearing a latex mask or a rubber mask. It just wouldn't work.
Isn't the crispy one meant to be a burnt iteration of the Delgado master anyway?
We're not sure on that.
We're not sure. We're not sure.
You see,
Big Finish has gone there several times and covered different aspects of it, but we don't know the order of the masters at all, really, which is a good thing.
So, it could get really wacky. We don't know yet. Okay, so now that we've completely wandered off the episode, let's rate it.
Yay! Sorry, Rona.
But it was great to see them bring back
completely threw me as well.
It was great to see them bring back a writer from the classic era. It really was, and she really pulled it off in spades. Okay, let's start at the bottom this time. All right, out of 10, what do you give Eaters of Light, Texas Tim?
I will give it a 9.75. It was a nearly perfect classic episode of Doctor Who, and that's pretty much all you can say about it. It was very good.
Okay, Susan and Alex.
Well, as I said, I'll probably have to watch it again, but I enjoyed the characters and the dialogue. The story and the plot, I didn't really like. So the story and the dialogue and the characters, I'll give it a 9. The story, the plot, no. I didn't like it. Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, I will give it a 9.5 overall, just like Texas Tim. It's just not exactly a 10, but it's pretty stinking close.
Oh, okay. Bo?
Yeah, I'll give it a 9 as well.
All right, Frank?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 as well. So.
Okay, Graham?
Gets a 9 from me as well. Solid stuff, and Aberdeen.
All right, William?
9.75, almost perfect. She needs to come back and write other stories.
All right, Vil?
Well, I've started thinking that I should be reserving the 9s for the really best of the best episodes. And this is a damn good episode. I wouldn't go that far, so I guess I have to be the naysayer. I'm going to give it an 8.666.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Connor?
Yeah, I'll give this an 8 out of 10. It was good. Very Scottish 8 out of 10.
All right, Matt?
Well, Eaters of the Light gets my delight, and it'll be a score of 9.
All right, Beef?
Beautifully written, to be honest with you. One other thing that just occurred to me when we've been talking, everything like that, when they go into the TARDIS at the end, you notice a little rainbow. I don't necessarily think it's a LGBT thing. It's just it's a lovely summing up to a fairy story type thing, which is what this drew to be. Yeah, the idea of light and light, the absence of light meaning death and time and everything like that. If you look at how the science of light years and everything like that works, it's a very clever concept. I've got to go. I'll go one above Phil. I'll go 8.667. It is the only reason I'm not marking it higher is because next week is really giving me stirrings in the downstairs department, for which I'm going to hold back that higher score.
There you go.
All right. Okay, AJ.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 9.8. I think it was a brilliant story. I love the monster. I love the whole history behind the whole story. It was awesome.
Okay, Sam.
I give it an 8.
All right, Philip.
Because of those reviewers telling us it's a shitty story to look forward to, I'm going to slap them around the face and say, no, it was a good story. I really enjoyed it. It had lots of charm about it. So I'm going to give this a 9.15.
Okay, Dr. Commentator.
Well, like I said, I did like it, but I couldn't really tell why, so I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, Vil, you had something you wanted to say there for a minute, or? I saw your hand up.
I did, but then I lowered my hand. I was like, no, I'll just save it for when we do our outro.
Okay, so, like I said, this was a really well-paced episode. As a lot of folks brought up, the soundtrack was incredible. I really enjoyed the different characters and how they brought it all together and how it ended. And plus that little segment, of course, with the Doctor and Missy at the end just really capped it off. So I'm going to have to give this one at least a 9. All right, so hard to believe, 2 more episodes and that's it till Christmas. It just seems like yesterday, as I keep saying that, we're all sitting there going, you mean we got to wait a year? And now it's upon us and it's almost over. And sadly, that means the Capaldi year is almost over as well. Matter of fact,
get out.
Yeah, the whole Scottish era for Doctor Who seems to be on its way towards over.
One is not amused. Just saying.
Just remember, it's damp. Of course it's damp. It's Scotland. Okay, so next week we'll be taking what appears to be a rather dark turn, as we've seen some very, very interesting sights in the next time trailer. So please come back and join us as we sit down and take a look at World Enough in Time.
AKA Missy Who.
Good night, folks.
Be seeing you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Ah!